Hello everyone, and this is my review for Monday Night Raw on August 22nd, 2016. And, well, of course, this is the Raw after SummerSlam, and, well, crazy news went out throughout the entire day, and eventually a video was shown of the exact moment of what happened as well. It was announced that Finn Balor was injured and was going to be relinquishing the Universal title, which, if you didn't watch the live stream last night, as you know, and probably a lot of people know, didn't really care for the design. Matter of fact, unfortunately, from rewatching the match, because we didn't exactly hear it the entire time, the fans hijacked that first half of the match, saying how bad the belt looked. Which was unfortunate because that was a great match to watch too. Luckily, we were not hearing that the entire time. Matter of fact, I don't think we really even talked about it that much afterwards. But back on track. Finn comes out. He has to relinquish the Universal title. I like the aspect during his after his promo when he says he has to relinquish it. I like the aspect that he didn't hand the belt over. The belt had to be taken from him. Like, Mick Foley had to take it off of his shoulder. That gave a little bit more of importance towards garnering the title and everything in that sense. So I like that aspect. He gave the typical speech, obviously, of, when he gets healthy, he's going to come back, go right after the title. And, your basic fare on that one. Not a bad promo. Unfortunate that the shoulder injury happened during the match. And everything in that sense. That's going to bring up a whole nother case of things with the person that he was working in the ring with, which was Seth Rollins, who did come out afterwards. And they did this kind of bit again here. Like when the title got vacated, when I think Seth vacated the title, they were it was like just an array of people coming out. It's like, I want to challenge. Or the night after WrestleMania 32, where a bunch of people came out to challenge Roman Reigns to a title match. Same thing happens here. Kevin Owens comes out, Sami Zayn comes out, and Chris Jericho comes out. Eventually, of course, Seth Rollins comes out. They all cut their promos to it. Like, hey, we want the title. Standard fare. It was announced that there would be 4 matches throughout the night. And the winners of those 4 matches were going to go up against each other the next week to crown the new Universal Champion. I'll talk about those 4 matches a little bit later on as we just go on through the rest of the show. First of all, you had Carl Anderson going up against Big E Langston. And, well, I called him Big E Langston, but he's just always known as Big E now. Obviously with Big E coming back the night before, which was still a very awkwardly booked match. I mean, it was good to see Big E back, but it was like, oh, he was ready to go, and why wasn't he just out there for the match instead of just waiting for kind of like a cue to come out there and save the day? But in this match, not a bad match between the two of them. It was just, you feel like you want the whole aspect of the club getting over a little bit. And getting match wins as well. Like, they got a match win against Kofi Kingston the night before, or the Raw before SummerSlam, but DQ finish, and now here the numbers game kind of gets out of their way, and Big E ends up getting the victory over Carl Anderson in this case. Now, don't get me wrong, the club get their heat way later in the show back a little bit, because it was announced throughout the entire day that the Dudley Boys were going to be retiring throughout the entire night. And they were showing clips and everything like that. I kind of liked what they were doing there. It made you feel like there was going to be some kind of tease in that they wouldn't retire, and maybe like Bubba turns on Devon or something like that. But you got those little clips of throughout the night saying, they're saying their goodbyes, and you got like their beginning and when they came back and everything in everything in that sense. The promo from the Dudleys that night was great, and it was like, okay, they went through everything. It's like when you thought maybe Bubba was gonna do something, they get interrupted by the Shining Stars, and at that point in time, it was like, okay, the crowd's like, oh, okay, they're going through this fair, they're gonna beat up the Shining Stars a little bit and put them through a table, and that's how they're gonna have their send off. They send them off on a high note, maybe not winning a match, but on a high note nonetheless. In that case, so they're doing that. They have the 3D, the what's up. They have the table set up in the ring. All of a sudden, wham! Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows just destroy them, putting Bubba out with a magic killer on the outside of the ring, and then Devon in the middle of the ring with the magic killer through a table. It makes you think that maybe the Dudleys will have one last match with the club to put them over a little bit, but like I said, I feel like they're missing the boat a little bit with Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. Like, they've shown that they can take what is relatively not a funny skit and make it funny, and they've pretty much done everything they've told them to do in this case, and they've done it well. Again, but yet they still don't want to put these guys over in any way, shape, or form, which just it leaves my head scratching a little bit throughout the entire night. But all in all, you hope for the best down the road for them, and maybe they'll continue something with New Day, or maybe you have something with the Dudleys for one more match, and they go up against the club and they put the club over, or something in that sense, before the full-on send-off. And obviously I wanted to talk a lot about that because there, in a sense of things, important stuff, there wasn't too much with Raw. It wasn't too much with Raw in the terms of talking about a lot, but the stuff that was important was pretty darn good. So one other thing that happened throughout with the show, and that was Braun Strowman having another jobber match. It was called against Johnny Knockout, and oh my god, the line. If you did not hear the line that Johnny Knockout gave during that whole jobber interview thing that they've been doing, you gotta listen to it for yourself. It is cringeworthy at best, in that sense of just the way that it was said. Obviously, for other aspects of it, it wasn't that bad of a line, but it just came off so awkward and so weird. And of course, Braun Strowman comes out and destroys the guy afterwards, and he's playing this gimmick like nah, one pin's not enough, I need a second pin, and he needs to beat the guy twice. So they have that gimmick going on now, so we'll see how everything goes there. Up next to talk about was the whole the promo from Charlotte, which ended up being basically a standard fair promo, a standard fair heel promo. She's the best. She did it on her own and everything like that, beating Sasha at SummerSlam, and so that's what they made it feel like. And it was like that was all it was going to be, and everything in that sense. The music plays, and then as she goes to leave, Mick Foley comes out, does the whole announcement is like, hey, when Sasha comes back from injury, because obviously they're playing off the match was that the actual injury happened, even though Sasha was going out with an injury anyway. When Sasha comes back, she's going to have a rematch, but in the time being, I'm going to introduce you to the newest acquisition to Raw, and it was Bayley. If you guys know from the factors that I've watched NXT a lot, I'm a big fan of the NXT guys, first of all. So Enzo Cass, Finn Balor, Bayley coming up to the main roster. I'm usually a big fan of theirs. And of course, the reaction she got was a really big pop from the entire crowd, who had pretty much, if it was a good chunk of the same people that were there at NXT Takeover Brooklyn, gave her a standing ovation after her match with Asuka, as like the goodbye to NXT. She's coming up to the main roster style goodbye. So Bayley comes out, obviously doing her whole bubbly and style, happy style gimmick that she had always been that she's always done. So it was almost like she couldn't believe she was coming up there and everything in that sense. So your typical heel fare. This is going to be, or not heel, face fare. That character is not going to be a heel anytime soon. This is that aspect of that now. It's like, they've done a little bit better with the NXT people coming up recently. Obviously, how they were booking Finn Balor and everything. They booked him like a star and everything like that. Bayley, you hope they book her right, because this one has the potential of being like the way she was treated down in NXT by the fans and eventually by how the booking went and everything. That's what you're hoping for here as well. Maybe not like taking her straight to a title match and winning the title right off the bat. That character needs more adversity than anything. And obviously she has a match with Dana Brooke here. Not a bad match here. Basically showing a little bit of what Bayley can do inside of the ring. Her typical running wild style of her moves that she's done. Obviously she's done a lot more within other matches. If you watch any of the NXT matches, please do, by the way, especially the ones with Sasha and some of the ones with Charlotte as well. They're really good. They're really good matches. But you hope down the line, like obviously she goes off and says, I want a challenge for the women's title inside of this promo. But it's one of those things, like, this character is built around adversity and eventually getting the win. So it's that slow climb. And hopefully that's how they treat it. They don't just like try to shoot it to the moon right off the bat. Hopefully it takes time in this one, because I feel like it's going to take time for the casual viewer to get used to Bayley. Like the hardcore audience, the audience in Brooklyn, the NXT audience who has seen her over the years, love Bayley. I think it's going to take time for that casual viewer to actually get used to the character in some way. So hopefully the booking, like they take their time with this booking of that character. Because again, like I said, that like we've seen match of the year candidates from this from Bayley and from Sasha in the past. So like the money match there is like Bayley versus Sasha or Bayley versus Charlotte in some way, shape, or form. This is why I'm kind of glad she's on Raw, because she'll have the potential for big matches or bigger matches. Obviously, a match with her and Becky Lynch would also be really good, and a couple others over on the SmackDown side. But I feel like if they want to try to go for like big money matches in the terms of the women's division right now, it would be on Monday Night Raw. In that sense. So yeah. With that being said, like I said, I hope they treat the character well. That's what you got to hope for in the end, and everything in that sense. So with that, I'm going to transition out of there, and we're going to go right off into the setting up of the Fatal 4-Way. 4 matches were set throughout the night. One was right after that first promo, which was Seth Rollins versus Sami Zayn, and they played off, hopefully it's not true, with an ankle injury for Sami Zayn, where he did a springboard off of there to jump over Seth Rollins, and like he makes it look like he twisted his ankle in there. That's what I'm hoping happened. Hopefully he doesn't actually get hurt. Hopefully it's him playing well and working the crowd well. And Seth Rollins went over in that match. Otherwise, good match in there. And like I said, playing off of the ankle injury is a better way to not make Sami Zayn really looked that weak in the end, even though getting beat. It shows him trying to, garner through and, fight through adversity and everything like that. So, again, not a nice way of going with that match, and also putting over Seth Rollins, which, some people are going to be iffy with this guy now because he's had 3 guys. I know there's going to be a lot more fans that are going to be very iffy with Seth Rollins because he's had 3 major stars now, or we'll say 2 major stars and one that was building to that major star that they kind of made in one night, with Cena breaking his nose with that knee, the buckle bomb to Sting that ended up injuring his neck in there. And then the buckle bomb that was done on the outside that ends up injuring Finn Balor's shoulder as well. So you feel like there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be iffy about this guy now, at least fans-wise. Obviously, he was still getting cheered here tonight, so they weren't turning on him that quickly. But you've got 3 major injuries with Seth, and of course his own too, which was a fluke. Which was a fluke in itself, and you could probably give that to Cena's as well. Why they were doing 2 buckle bombs in the Sting match, I don't know back then. And honestly, I'd not been a big fan of the buckle bomb. It does look very, very dangerous, especially when they do it outside like that. And it was bound to happen where someone would get hurt. It ended up being Finn, which is very unfortunate. But that's like personal opinion on that. I'm not downgrading what Seth Rollins can do in the ring and on the microphone as well. It's just an aspect that I'm kind of giving a casual opinion. Some fans are going to say, "Hey, he's injured 3 guys now. What's going on?" In that sense, but he obviously advances on to next week's title match. Which would be a heavy assumption. It's like, come on, he was in the title match the night before. Why wouldn't he be going to the title match the next week? Up next was Kevin Owens versus Neville. Another good fare here. Kevin Owens going over. Here, and they're still playing off this aspect of Jericho and Kevin Owens being buddies and everything. They've got each other's back. Jericho even helps with a distraction here for Kevin Owens, and allow Kevin Owens to get the victory. Kevin Owens, of course, very over with the crowd as well again tonight, like he usually is in most cases. You almost wonder, like, he plays the heel so well, he ends up becoming a face in some way, which is very unfortunate because he does so much to make you want to boo him, but everybody keeps cheering him in that case. The next qualifying match, and this one is an interesting choice, but I'm going to go off and say not a bad choice because they needed more faces in here because, Seth Rollins technically a heel, though gets cheered. And Kevin Owens technically a heel, though gets cheered, are in the match. So you have Rusev going up against Big Cass. Rusev's obviously playing off of the rib injury from the night before with how bad he got beat up by Roman Reigns, which is what Enzo was out there. But what Big Cass plays through, and eventually it leads, after some back and forth and everything, and Cass was taking massive advantage, Rusev just leaves. You have a shot at going after the main title. I know you have the United States title, but you also have a shot at going after the main title now, or the newly minted world title. And you just yeah, I'm out. I'm out of here. Nah, no, forget about it. I have better things to do. It's like, okay. It makes you feel. It makes It does make that almost feel like it's not important to Rusev in some way, or it makes the title in a case like that where they make the title feel important at the beginning of the show, like this moment, just kind of devalues it a little bit because I don't really want to shot at it. I am hurt. I don't care. In that case. But Big Cass goes over in there, and now he's in the Fatal 4-Way for next week. And the final match of the night was Chris Jericho up against Roman Reigns. Good match from both of these guys. I found the match enjoyable. I liked the whole aspect that, Jericho helped out Kevin Owens early in the night, so Kevin Owens comes out to help Jericho in this case. Doesn't necessarily end up making the win for him because they put Roman Reigns over in this case, which, again, technically, you need another face in there. You can't have 3 heels, 1 face. Especially with a face that you would assume is not going to win with Big Cass. I mean, you would assume in that sense, but you never know. I guess you never know in that sense. Like I said, that a lot of people felt like Finn was a little too early to be getting the title shot and winning it cleanly, even in that sense. Like I was completely for the aspect of Finn winning that match, because you can't beat the Demon on the first go. You really can't. The first showing on pay-per-view, you can't beat that. You can't beat that variation of the character. But you almost felt like that maybe they should have had some interference or something in that sense during the match. But like I said, the match itself was great from the night before. But Roman Reigns goes over here again. Like I said, you technically need a face, though. He gets booed out of the building in practically every single building he goes to now. But all in all, not a bad show in that case. One thing that I guess I'll I'll talk about real quickly here because I missed it. Titus O'Neil, for the love of everything, never have a microphone again. Actually, he's not that bad on the mic, but he was stumbling pretty bad on the mic tonight. But overall, this show after SummerSlam, not a bad show. I'll go off and say it wasn't a bad show. Interesting moment with the club. I really wish they would have put him over the New Day guys in this case, but they get their heat a little bit back by beating down the Dudleys afterwards. It makes you almost feel like maybe the Dudleys will have one more match against them. Bayley shows up. That's win in my book right there, because I've always liked that character down in NXT. They're bringing it up to Raw, and we'll see how everything gets worked out with that character throughout the time. But good start in that case. The whole aspect of having to take the title off of Finn Balor afterwards, and then making these 4 qualifying matches for a Fatal 4-Way gives the title a little bit more importance and everything. In that sense, they're making everybody earn their way into the match, and everything's like, oh, let's just put 4 people together and we'll have a match. They made each person win a match or something, in a sense, to give it a little bit more importance. So you have something to look forward to the next week. The next week on Raw, you have the Universal title match as well. I'm still getting used to that title name as also being like the main title for Raw as well. Coming down the line, so I'm still getting used to that. I still don't like the look of the belt. It's too much red. It's just too much red in my mind. It just does not come off all that well. And some people harp on the lazy design. As a matter of fact, I kind of did a little bit too. I get what they're going with. They're kind of branding everything and making everything kind of look like not the same, but look a little bit like the same. I think that's why the title kind of got such a reaction that it did. Was that obviously, because if you take a look at other promotions like MMA and boxing, like titles look identical for the different weight classes. But the aspect of wrestling is that all titles kind of look different. They have something different about them in their design and how they're done in some way, shape, or form. When a lot of people didn't give flack to the fact that the women's title looking similar to the WWE title because, well, with the Butterfly title, it was never liked to begin with the Divas title. So when they gave him that title, it's like, oh, it made it look like they have a real championship. Here, they says like, hey, we went with something different. We just changed the color of the belt strap to, instead of black or white and red, it's just red. So it symbolizes Raw, but it also makes it feel like it was lazily designed in that sense. That's why I think a lot of people have a harp on that belt. The initial, the design of the WWE Championships is not bad in that sense, but they tried to make it differentiate that, oh, this is the Raw title, so it's red now. Where it's saying it's like it needs to be differentiated, but there was no effort in designing something to make it look completely different from the other championships that they've made recently. So again, I get that's why people have a big gripe about it. And like I said, I harped on the belt too a little bit during the live reaction as well. But let's get away from that. Let's get ourselves out of this review. That is my review throughout for the night of Raw tonight. I thought the show was fairly entertaining. Good matches on there. Bayley debuts, and you have a little bit of filler here and there, but you also have important matches going after the new title. After the fact that Finn has to relinquish the title after just winning it, and we'll see where everything goes from here. You have the title match next week. That is my review for Monday Night Raw this week. I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a great day.